Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix Show. My name is Chris Wong. This is episode 389 of the Ping Pong Flix Show. Just a few DCEU updates. The first one up is, of course, Snyder Cut. A little bit more. This is coming from Fabian Wagner. He dropped another picture from behind the scenes here, and he commented on below. Breaking in with the Flash. Two 35mm cameras on a 50-foot and 30-foot techno cranes. We had a huge 340-degree green screen in the backlot made out of shipping containers. Hashtag Justice League, The Flash, backlot, behind the scenes cinematography, green screen. So obviously this is the part where the Flash and the Justice League crew break into Star Labs, reportedly after getting Superman's body out. So pretty much almost the same for what you see in the Joss Whedon's version of Justice League. Although looking at the camera setup here, I don't think there was a shot of an towards the actual truck approaching the guard shack. So that seems to me very different. We can only assume maybe they even cut through the scenes. Does it have the Flash with that fake ID? We don't know about that either. So, but at least we know that this part actually does happen, where they actually broke in this way in a disguised truck. At least that's where we're thinking he's trying to tell us. Unless, the Flash sped through, who knows. But for the most part, I think that part was probably similar, including the part where they come out of the truck and actually go into the Star Labs facility. Although you do see it's a little bit more military operations, actually a little bit more here than I'm not sure how much we actually see in the actual theatrical movie. It's been a while since I've watched that, but I don't remember seeing several guards there. But I could be wrong. But in any case, after this Star Labs scene, of course, we're supposed to have had military involvement, which didn't happen in the theatrical cut. So it's good to see a lot of military here, meaning showing you that they were supposed to have military involvement and not just two patrol officers during that Superman fighting the Justice League scene. And so hopefully we get more. Hopefully Fabian decides to share a little bit more. It seems like he's really trying to be outspoken here, showing a little bit more, feeding the movement a little bit more. We've noticed that Zack Snyder hasn't dropped anything as of late, but he could be very busy with Army of the Dead, as I think they are finishing up or have already finished principal photography and probably have to get into the post-production phase of that movie. But speaking of a little bit of Snyder Cut, but not really, I'd say Darkseid is an interesting topic altogether. He was supposed to be in the Snyder Cut. He is in the Snyder Cut if ever gets released. But amazingly, Darkseid kind of hashtag actually kind of trended today for a while, from number 1 to number 2, and it became a Twitter moment for some reason. I still can't find where it actually came from, but it has to do with Darkseid and Thanos. And so this internet Twitter war came out with, who do you think would win in a fight between Thanos and Darkseid? And there were like 29,000 votes. Darkseid won, of course, 65% to Thanos' 35%. The comments were kind of funny, though. Even one from Charlie at Snyder Cut JL had a panel here showing that, Darkseid just completely obliterated Thanos with his Omega beams here. I don't know if that's an actual comic or if that actually happened or not. Who knows? But there's a discussion there. It was actually a good moment for the Snyder Cut fandom to release pictures, like I did myself, pictures of Ray Porter as Darkseid or Darkseid's character in the Snyder Cut of Justice League. Hopefully get a little bit of noise out of that. But in a sense, a lot of people do understand, who've read the comics and stuff, that Darkseid is much stronger, would completely decimate Thanos, especially if Thanos didn't have any Infinity Stones at all. But essentially he would be completely decimated, so you can sort of understand that. But a lot of people who don't even know about Thanos and Darkseid are only understanding Thanos from the movie level. And of course, I don't fault them for only picking Thanos because that's all they know. They weren't. They don't know anything beyond that, and we never got to see Darkseid. So if more people got to see Darkseid and seeing how he was in Justice League, we could have seen that bar a little bit more farther out. But there seems to be enough people to know that Darkseid would win against Thanos, and that's why we have that 65 to 35%, part there. So, incredible stuff. Great to see Darkseid. When I saw Darkseid trending, I literally thought that another another piece of the Snyder Cut came through. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but hopefully maybe you will feel the interest in Darkseid just a little bit, enough for people who haven't or don't even care for the Snyder Cut to perk their interest to saying, hey, let's check out the Snyder Cut Justice League because Darkseid is in that movie. So, going on to the new films, this came out today, and I really thought we were being punked. But it's being reported that Taika Waiktiti is in talks for role in James Gunn's Suicide Squad. What? Now, this is just a small little snippet out of this article. Apparently, he's promoting his Fox-like Searchlight absurdist fall film festival comedy Jojo Rabbit. He's beginning work on Next Go Wins, his next directorial for the Studio Classic label. Deadline also hears that the Thor Ragnarok and Thor Love and Thunder filmmakers in talks for a role in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad at Warner Brothers. No word on what part or how big. Word is that there's a table reading for the DC sequel on September 11th, with production starting September 23rd for the August 6th, 2021 release. So, obviously, seeing for that, we'll probably get a official casting set group together around September, probably, or maybe it's going to be after the table read. Who knows? But there is a lot of comedic people in this movie so far. I mean, we've got David Dastmalchian. I mean, he does some comedy, but he also had some serious roles as well. Flula Borg, definitely more comedic. Steve Agee, apparently more comedic. Nathan Fillion, he can go both ways. And now, we've got Taika Waititi, which I believe, just like Nathan Fillion, they're going to have a very small, minor role, right? They're not going to be too much in there, and they're just going to have maybe a cameo here and there, possibly voicing some characters, maybe if they're going that out of that way, or maybe he could reprise his role as Thomas from Green Lantern, hereby saying that Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern is canon if in this DCU. No, I'm kidding. I don't think that is at all, but we can safely say this is his second DC film that Taika Waititi is going to be in. But interesting to say the least who he has in this movie. Quite a giant amount of cast members here, whether it's cameo or not cameo. There's quite a bit of people in here that are recognizable per se, and it's almost kind of, someone said on the Twitter that it's rivaling a Dunes cast right now. But Taika Waititi is going to be in Suicide Squad, or at least in talks in Suicide Squad, but I believe it's going to be a very, very small role for that. So let's move on. Now, Brazilian Licensing Expo apparently has happened, and there's a lot of this promotional art, and we get to see a lot more promos and art here. Birds of Prey actually had one of them out, which only shows Harley Quinn on a banner. Very small, you can barely see it. I guess some pictures that were taken was from the side and not really full on to her. Of course, we've seen this costume that she has before. Nothing new. It seems she's just smiling there. It's a very bright photo, and like I've said before, that most likely this film is from her perspective. This is her point of view. This is kind of her story. At least that's how she's thinking of what happened. And maybe it's not gonna happen the way it actually happens in the DC universe. This is just her perspective perspective of what happened and how she became a pawn to the birds of prey, her fallout with Joker, Black Mask, and the story behind that. It could be a retelling and very almost like they were trying to do that, like maybe kind of in a way an homage to Quentin Tarantino films. That type of, not comedy, I would say it's like more, not slapstick either. It's just the dialogue and the way it's played out. It could be called comedic in nature, yet also a drama as well. So if it has that elements, like if the recently Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I thought was a fantastic film, I love that film. If it has those elements of storytelling, of narration, of point of view, I think it could be quite interesting and very different from what we've had before. Of course, they're not shying away from the action because Chad Stahelski is actually doing the action for this, and he's best known for the John Wick trilogy. So I think we've come here for something pretty special. Of course, we're not sure until we actually get some good trailers instead of that 17-second teaser that was done before they even shot. So I'm really interested to see the actual trailer, which I've heard is really good. It's actually a really good trailer. I think he's a scooper. Chris Sylvia kind of revealed that there might be something happening soon upon that, which I hope is the case, and which could possibly mean a trailer pretty soon. I would expect a trailer this year. I just don't know when. I know the Joker trailer is tomorrow, so there could be a possibility that a Birds of Prey trailer could come soon after that, or could be maybe put together with the Joker movie. I would think that would be probably my most expected release date for this Birds of Prey trailer. But in any case, it's pretty getting a little excited to see a little bit more stuff, it's crumbs really from these future films, but anything is better than nothing. And that's why the next one, Wonder Woman 1984, also coming from the Brazilian Licensing Expo, you get to see a little bit more. Not too much more. It's really just two promotional posters. One, she's looking at the screen, and another one, she's kind of looking off to the side. And not much there, but you do get a good look at her suit, once again in natural color, natural lighting, like we haven't seen before. It's brighter, of course, a lot more red in there, a lot more silver. It's almost very, New 52-ish, I would say. And so there's nothing much to gather or grasp from that. But for people who are fans of Wonder Woman 1984, I guess you can get pretty excited to seeing a little bit more from Wonder Woman, and a lot of different promotional posters, I would gather. There's that. This is not the rainbowy color one with her in full set armor. This is a little bit more, subdued, and it's just about her in her bright red and yellow and blue, and so it's not retro-y. There's nothing much you can gather from it aside from the actual title official logo, where you can see the different lines. You can see the blue and red, very retro-y. It's almost like it's going to zoom out Superman style, or very like digital style, like in the retro days. More different. It's very different from the first Wonder Woman movie. Also very different from the Batman v Superman movie. Doesn't mean that it's taking away from that movies at all. We're not sure. Zack and Deborah is still producing this film, so I could totally see this being part of her life, where she's coming from a war-torn era where it's all drabby and gray, to a more brighter 80s, before getting into more drab again. So in the 80s, I could it's totally fitting within the 80s era for that. The other thing about who Pedro Pascal may be playing, it's interesting. Someone mentioned how he's been really doing the neck snapping thing, right? I mean, someone asked him when he was interviewing a couple of times where he was interviewing who he was, and he did like if meaning Warner Bros. Doesn't want him to say, so he does a and he kind of falls over like someone just killed him, and then I may be looking into this too much, but during one of the D23, I think it's the Mandalorian interviews or something, he went behind Taika Waititi and just made like he was snapping his neck, and Taika Waititi just fell to the floor. He's got to be Maxwell Lord. I mean, and possibly if he is that character, in the comics, as you know, Wonder Woman snaps his neck and kills him. Now, you'll be saying, well, they're not going to do that because they've already done that in Man of Steel, right? But I'm going to say, wait a minute. If this could be a good way to show that from the 80s to Batman v Superman, she totally disregarded mankind, didn't want anything to do with saving people anymore because of what she's been through. So it might not just be the war. Maybe in the 80s, ultimately giving way to her actually committing that murder, killing that character, Max Lord, Pedro Pascal, possibly his character, in that fashion, and then gone into hiding until Batman v Superman. That would make sense logically, in that chronologically, if they were going to throw everything and making it canon, why she went away, why she, nobody knew about her and stuff like that, or maybe have forgotten about her. Maybe she was doing some secret things kind of in the background, not really putting herself out there, and then ultimately killing a character that could have put her into hiding. So, canonically, is that how you say it? Canon-wise, to fit within the DCEU, I could totally see her doing that. It would be very divisive because people are like, "Oh no, you're making Wonder Woman kill." Although she's killed before, come on, man, she's killed a lot of people in the first Wonder Woman movie. But it's war. I get it. I understand. But if they were gonna go that route, they might. They might just do that. And if they do, I'd gotta applaud them for going towards that way, and actually having the balls to do that, being as they're in, trying to lighten up every movie now and not do that. But like I said, Endgame and Avengers Infinity War and the stuff that has happened in Marvel Cinematic Universe has kind of paved the way for the general audience to kind of accept that type of movie now. The Boys went into the extreme R-rated side and kind of exposed this generation to that type of movie now. So you never know. They could accept that part, and maybe that's why a little bit more people are recognizing Batman v Superman, recognizing The Watchmen, and because of I mean, it's Zack Snyder's movies, like we've always said, it's kind of like it was too early for our society. It's too early. It's always been divisive because it came out before most people would accept that type of movie. So I think if Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, whatever, Watchmen was out today, I think it would be a lot more accepted through our audience, modern audience today. All right, well, that is it for tonight. Let's check out the Joker trailer tomorrow. I can't wait for that. And I want to thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.